to choose a side, unfortunately, at this point. As much as a sort of a moderate as I am, at least in terms of how I think people should conduct themselves in the political realm. We take politics way too personally. I'm deeply conservative, but that's more culturally. That's more socially. It's not so much politically, and I don't think that's really where the deepest of the divide is between both sides. I don't think it is. Sure, people disagree on both sides about universal health care and so forth, but most people can't even talk about those issues in depth. They don't know what the heck universal health care is, or what their own health care. They don't know what even terms what like a deductible means, or premiums, or so on and so forth. So it's really what's splitting the country right now is cultural. It's a cultural divide, and so we can get into all that. Although I don't want to get too deep into it. But yeah, are you able to see if you can just find a clip? I don't know if you can, but it's just him giving his first executive orders, and like I said, his first executive order was a federal mask mandate only on federal properties or whatnot. But the second one is what threw me for a loop. That's what really not just it angered me. It really angered me to my core, because first off, he couldn't even understand what he was saying. He kind of like mumbled through it. It wasn't even clear what exactly the executive order was. But he first starts off by using the term, of course, underrepresented communities. And then, but the key word, the word he used was the word equity. And I know what you think of when you hear the word equity. And it's the same thing a lot of people.
Communism.
Yes, that's the exact word that I thought of, and that's what a lot of. And actually, to that, I brought in the book Jordan Peterson, 12 Rules for Life. Hopefully, maybe I just started reading it. Maybe we could discuss that a little bit.
What's rule number 1?
I don't know what rule number 1 is, actually. I think it's walk with your head straight up or something like that. What is it? Stand up straight with your shoulders back. Yeah, that's rule 1, which is a great rule, just as a general rule of thumb, and that's sort of what it is. So I don't want to be all over the place. I'm all over the place right now a little bit.
All right, you want to hear these executive orders?
But
I'll put it on
if you
for
can just play that clip, and let me know when you got it. Are you putting it up on the screen too?
Yep.
Yeah, just put it up, and I'll shut up for a second.
Immediately. As we've indicated earlier, we're going to be signing a number of.
Listen how bad that audio is too. You can't even hear him.
Several days a week.
Well, he's got a mask on.
What does he do? He's the president. What does this guy need a mask in his office for?
Well, he's got to be the symbol of.
Put a mic under that mask. You could put a lavalier under there.
Symbol of science.
Can't hear. They don't want you to hear what he's saying. That's the problem.
So, yeah, look at this. He's like where are the books again? Where the
COVID crisis? We're going to combat climate change in a way that we haven't done so far.
Got to combat that climate change.
You want me to keep playing this, or you want me to skip ahead?
Communities. We're going to rebuild our economy.
Well, I think he's just kind of laying out the overview of what he's going to do. Yeah, just get to that first one. I think it happens pretty quickly.
Cracks open number 2.
Yeah, just look for whatever he reads. Wait, hold up. No, okay, yeah, no, go back. So,
this is the first.
Oh, that's the first one.
All right, so let him play it. It only takes like 2 seconds. This is where he signs the federal mask mandate. But now listen.
Here is the support for underserved communities, and we're going to we have going to make sure we have some bedrock equity, equality as relates to how we treat people on health care and other things. We'll give you copies of these executive orders.
What? You can stop it right there.
He doesn't even know what it says. He doesn't even. You think he knows what's in there?
Yeah, stop it right there. What? What did he just say? First off, he mumbles his way through it. He says underserved communities. He says equity, and then I don't know if he kind of catches himself. But then what did he even say? Equality? I don't know what he said. I think he said equality.
Underserved communities.
No, but it's that word, equity. God, if people, this is why you got to listen so closely. I mean, that word, yes, you said it, communism. That's the first thing you think of, because that's what that means, and that's what these liberals and these far left people, they're all pushing. They're pushing equity. That means the equality of outcome. And that's exactly what Jordan Peterson talks about. I'd love to talk about this guy. I mean, you could show clip after clip of this guy. Maybe you can you pull up some clips of him? It should be the next thing you look up. Yeah, if anyone hasn't heard of Jordan B. Peterson, I would highly recommend Googling this guy. Just go on YouTube. There's millions of videos.
I want to hear your impression. You told me you've been working on an impression.
Man.
Is it ready for prime time?
Is it
or
ready
not
for
yet?
prime time? Hold on, let me take out this piece of gum I got in my
I wouldn't do it yet. I don't think it's ready.
Well, it's not ready. It's not ready. But now that you brought it up.
You know what?
Now that
something to look forward to. I don't
something
think it's
to look
ready
forward
yet.
to.
Maybe next episode. Give you another week.
Let me see if I can do a little stuff.
Don't do it, Rob. Don't do it.
Don't do it. You brought it up.
It's not there yet, bro.
It's not there. But at least let me warm up.
All right.
Ask me a question. Give me something. Let me see if I can. Well, people would. You know what? Here, play a clip of what he sounds like first.
No.
Yeah, no.
I want to hear you do it, and then we're gonna compare it.
No, that's what I mean. So let's play a clip.
I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to hear it to lock in.
No, it's partially. Sure. I think that's fair. Man, you're gonna put me. Come on. Oh, it's cheating. You're gonna put me on the spot like that, and then you're not gonna give me a chance. But what's up with you sure your service is working down here, man? Nothing. I got nothing.
All right,
it isn't that I don't like them. There's no excuse for it. You call me polarizing if I objected to Nazis? Yes or no? If I objected to Nazis, am I polarizing or not?
But you see these people.
All right, let's hear your version.
Who want
Come on.
the gender neutral.
Am I polar?
Voice crack though.
Hold up. Am I polarizer? What? What do you think you're doing, Bucko? No, I
know they're more dangerous than this.
More dangerous than this.
They wouldn't have put in compelled speech legislation if they weren't more dangerous than that.
Well, they would say we don't want discrimination.
Here.
Yes,
How about I play a
But
little bit of the audio that I did the other day? Let me see if I can. Here. This is it. Let's see.
She said I was crazy.
Oh no, that's something else.
Uh-oh.
Wait, while I was driving in the car, let me see what I got. Hold up.
There isn't much to say. I mean, look, you know the guy. You know him.
Sounds like a Muppet.
He's how you say, in a state of upheaval. Right?
I'm in the car, by the way. He's in a state of upheaval?
You have to respect the fact that he's, going out.
I don't think you're there yet, though.
He's trying to make the world a better place, And if you don't understand those two things.
Yeah, you put me on the spot there, but it's all good.
Sorry, it was worth it though.
It was worth. No, it really wasn't. But oh man, there's some things I wanted to talk about. Hey, you know what? Let's just screw all the politics for a second, and let's get serious. So I got remember how, I was getting I did a little bit of that segment where I massaged myself and
how could I
took
forget?
my shirt off and so this was a Christmas gift from my dear brother whom I love, but this is a real thing, and you can Google it too. But this is a real thing. I brought it with me. I don't know if you want to Google it too. Let me pull it out first. But yeah, you gotta. I would Google it too, just so people can see. Google Smart Queen weight blanket. So this is a real thing. If anybody can see it, it's called Smart Queen. Yes, Queen, go girl. So this is a weighted blanket. First of all, this thing weighs like. I'm gonna take my. Oh, get up. Look at this thing. First of all, this thing weighs about 50 pounds. All right, it's a freaking blanket. Look at my muscles like popping because this thing is so heavy. All right, and apparently, I mean, you couldn't wrap yourself around in this. I mean, oh my God, this thing weighs like 1,000 pounds, but you got to listen to this instruction. So first of all, it's called the Smart Queen. So imagine giving a full-grown 6'2", 250-pound man a blanket that says Smart Queen. So here, let me just read you the instructions real quick. All natural sleep therapy. Smart Queen weighted blanket provides the gentle sensation of being hugged or held, which can help to relieve anxiety and improve overall sleep. Smart Queen weighted blanket simulates a gentle hug that wraps around you, which would reduce your tossing and turning at least 90%, making you fall asleep faster. So
Your brother got you that?
yes, he did. And again,
So we thought you needed a hug.
I don't know if
That's why I bought you that.
I don't know if he hates me. I don't know if it was a compliment or if it was an insult.
You looked lonely.
But
so
I
gave
do
you that.
apparently, and pregnant women and children under 5 should not use it because apparently you can die. This thing would crush you. It weighs about 50 pounds. But
50, 50?
Yeah.
I thought it was like 15 pounds.
No, it's like 50 pounds. It's heavy even for me. So apparently my brother, Smart Queen, thinks I needed a hug. I don't know. I guess he was he was trying to imply something. But what can I say? Now, is it? Yeah. I mean, obviously, look. Again, we can't. The elephant in the room is that Trump is no longer in office. What did you think? Did you think it was disrespectful him not going to the inauguration?
Did you watch his farewell speech?
I haven't actually seen it yet. I'm ashamed to say.
There was like 2 of them.
I haven't
apparently.
actually seen it yet.
I saw the first one. It was sad. It's sad.
It was said, yeah, of course it was said. You know who gave the greatest farewell, or not farewell speech, but concession speech? Remember John McCain's after he lost to Obama?
No, I didn't watch that.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, that was a great speech. And then people were like, well, why didn't you talk like that before when you were running for president? It's like, and I'm pretty sure he did. That's what he was trying to do. But yeah, I mean, look, I don't know what the next 4 years is going to hold, and again, I don't want to be all doom and gloom, but I hate that the Democrats call for unity, or at least Joe Biden is, and then they do that on the one hand, and then on the other hand, of course, they're talking about all these commissions. They're talking about setting up, they're trying to make it so that nobody who supported Trump can ever get a job again. They're going after, they're trying to purge us. They're trying to purge everybody. Anyone who thinks differently, they're basically the thought police. And and again, it's not going to get better. If I can just, let me just do what I do best here, and that's kind of just go off. And I don't mean like on a rant, but just talking, because I think I present some sides of opinions that people might not necessarily think of, or they might be too afraid to say. And so one of the things I was thinking was, there's no way that we're going to just come together as a nation. That's not going to happen. Certainly not in the next 4 years. But I think what most people need to understand, especially, not just non-conservatives, not just liberals, but people who didn't vote for Trump, or people who are, independents and so on and so forth. Trump, this was just the beginning. Trump was sort of the last hurrah, in the sense that it was the last democratic way that people on the right, like myself, or I shouldn't say totally myself, because again, I voted actually for Hillary Clinton in 2016. That was people who do think like me, though, who are frustrated, who are who don't understand all of this anti-American hatred and all of this white, of course, discrimination and hatred. And again, I don't think it's real hatred. I think that it's feigned anger. I think they make it up. I think it's a lot of BS. I think it's a lot of, again, Jordan Peterson's. I feel like I'm just plagiarizing the guy, because I'm sort of always quoting him, but it's still exactly the way I thought long before he was even famous. He just articulates everything so well. And basically, it was if you go back to 2016, I saw it too. Everybody did. You couldn't help but notice that there was this palpable, dangerous, toxic change in the culture, and not just in the culture, but they were trying to, as they've said repeatedly. And when I say they, I mean people on the left, and usually politicians, again, because they have the one of the loudest platforms. Is they say things they want to fundamentally change America, right? You hear that all the time. You hear, things like, we need to recreate it. We need to start it over. We need to rebuild it. We need to, so on and so forth. There's a million different, phrases and terminology and ways, it's just semantics. So you could say it a million different ways. But I could, as an American, if you don't like something, or if there's something wrong with, say, maybe the justice system, or the capitalism, or there's too much greed or corruption, that doesn't mean you upend the system. That doesn't mean that you completely overturn it. There's of course inherent problems in America, as there are in every country. What are you showing me here? Are you showing me my health? Is that my heart rate?
No, your comments, bro.
No. The people commenting. Oh, that's nice. Well, I didn't get to promote it because you're freaking rushing me out here. No, I'm kidding, man.
Rushing, you're good.
But no. Do you kind of understand what I'm saying? Am I making some sense here?
I understand? I understand.
No, I know you understand. But I'm always. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here. But
I don't understand why you voted for Hillary, though.
Well, of course not. We could get into that. I could talk about that a little bit. I do want to discuss what people I think are going to find interesting. But well, no. Look, I saw that's part of it. I will try to quickly discuss why I did vote for Hillary. So anyone who knows me, who truly knows me, again, like we had Nick on. I had my friend Nick on here a couple weeks ago. And if I can try to explain myself, in the simplest way possible, for those who don't really know me, I'm overt about my beliefs, but only when asked, or only yes, I go around wearing Trump stuff all the time. I wear Trump stuff to work. I wear Trump stuff to the gym. But I don't do that in the sense to try to offend or to try to create a scene. First of all, I don't obviously believe there's anything offensive about wearing a Trump hat or clothes. Anyone who does believe that, they're the problem, essentially, because that's just psychotic. But I don't intentionally go around looking to try to start political arguments or cause disruptions or so on and so forth. Day by day, this is sort of ties in. I've stopped really kind of wearing a mask pretty much anywhere. Even when I go into a store, unless I'm with my mother, God forbid, because she's the only person who scares me. She's literally the one person I'm afraid of, and she's like a 5'2", Italian meatball, and it's because I don't like the fact that the mask wearing has become so normalized. Right? I mean, are you with me on that? Are you
Yeah, I'm with you.
There quickly, and again, this is part of the changing culture, the changing ethos, the changing of the thought process. The way we in America we've capitulated so easily on so many things, and this mask, the mask wearing is one thing. And again, I don't want to. It's nuanced, but it all sort of ties into why I voted for Trump now and became such an avid supporter. I mean, for a guy who didn't vote for him in 2016, and there are people, right? There's plenty of examples of people who voted for Obama Biden twice. And I mean, I didn't. I voted for the Republicans in both of those two elections. Again, for other reasons, but I mean, I thought that they were the better choices. But the reason I didn't vote for Trump is because I also do have a real moral and ethical center, a code that I do try to live by. I try to be honorable, and I try to, I'm a political science major, and I love politics, and I felt like in a way I was betraying that code that I had tried to instill myself in, and it's not, it wasn't, oh God, can I live with myself for the rest of my life if I vote for the guy? I don't think in those terms, but as much as I don't really hate anyone. So I didn't hate Hillary. I hated the fact that she is such a political power hungry creature who just like Biden did in this election, just went as far to the left as possible in order just to try to win. And so that's what I greatly admired about Trump, is the guy doesn't. One, he was a Democrat. In some ways, he still is a Democrat. He's just sort of he's a lot like me. He's sort of a modern day Republican, which is basically if you just are culturally conservative, forget about economically. He could be all for universal health care. I mean, that was part of what he ran on. If you would say he had a platform in 2016. He's like, I remember he's like, I'm not going to let anybody, people die in the streets. Everybody's going to have health care. So, and again, he was a registered Democrat for 30 years, donated to Democratic candidates. And, part of that's one, because there wasn't the huge division now between the two parties. But also because he, again, like myself, I don't want to be locked into just one party. I don't like bipartisanship. I mean, this goes back to the founding fathers. Thomas Jefferson, we know clearly, didn't like the two-party system, thought it was going to be bad. And, it proved to work pretty well for a long time, but now you're seeing how it can be easily abused. And, I'm just kind of going on a rant here, so I'm hoping people could follow me. But this is what happens when people start labeling themselves. This is one of the worst things we do nowadays is I always, if someone starts labeling, like if you ask them a question, who are you or how would you define yourself or so on and so forth. And, number one, if they start with politics, I'm a social libertarian or something, I'm like, oh God, all right. I'm already, weary of this person. And it's very common with minorities or the underrepresented communities. They love to label themselves. I'm a black, queer, cisgendered, so-and-so, whatever. And when you start at that place, and again, I'm going to mention Jordan Peterson a million times because he's the best at talking about this. You're already closing yourself into a box. You're already saying, look, I'm not going to be open-minded. I'm not going to be, I'm going to have this myopic, narrow-minded, rigid view of the world. Like, if let's say I'm a black queer person, that's how I identify first and foremost. Well, that's a problem, especially in America, especially when you have a country that is as diverse as we are. We're the most diverse place in the world. So we need the thing to be that has to be the highest priority, thing to be most paramount, is that we're all Americans first. That's got to be the first label, really the only label, and then the other things can follow. I try to make this point, especially like if I'm talking to someone else who's not white or particularly a man, like I've talked to black friends of mine and so forth, and I've said look. You don't want to just be a black man in the same way that I don't want to just be a white man. The thing that we should strive for is just to be a man. It's just to be a good man, because I think I have talked about this before. That's something even higher. That's something even more divine, so to speak. That's something really to aspire to be just a man, to be a good man. Because once you start pigeonholing yourself and giving yourself labels, and the more labels you give yourself, the more you close yourself off from the rest of the world. You're actually being less inclusive because you're saying, well, I can only be part of this group because, that's the group I identify with most. And, and I'm not really going to have anything to do with your group. And that's the biggest problem I see right now in America. And from that flow so many other things. So to come kind of full circle to Trump, again, he was, without, for lack of a better word, he was the symptom. He was not the cause of anything. The reason he got elected was because clearly people were upset with Obama, and not just him as a person. I liked him and respected him as a person. And I don't even think he was some kind of crazy ideologue. He was just, he was just a poor politician. For someone who was such a great orator, he was a terrible politician. And it's funny enough, Bill Maher, right? Bill Maher always credits Trump with being a great politician. I don't know if I totally agree with that, but I understand what he's saying, because there's that's why Trump got elected. There's so many qualities about him, the personality, the larger than life, big personality. Obviously, he's had a lot of, TV success and TV time, so he's had a lot of experience to be able to do those things. And there's a certain kind of quality, whether it be good or bad, or maybe even just, kind of innocuous. There's a certain kind of it factor, a certain kind of quality, a certain kind of attention that you need to attract when you're running for not just political office, but the presidential office. And I think we've talked about this before, right? Like if you name who are some of the people you would like the most, or the people you'd like to see run?
Who would I like to see
Yeah,
run?
like let's say, who would you like to see run?
I could tell you the type of person I would want to see run.
Well, it's got to be a name. It's got to, let's say,
person.
well, if you could pick someone outside of Trump to be, let's just say outside of Trump. There's nobody pops into your mind.
Not really.
Oh, geez. All right, so give me the type of person. What kind of qualities? What kind of attributes?
You know what? I liked Trump's attitude where he didn't really care what he said, and I think that's a pretty New York thing. I always felt like people didn't like him because he was a New Yorker. He just says what's on his mind. He says it with people would interpret it as a bad attitude, but I never felt like sure, there's times that he did have a bad attitude and was inappropriate, but overall, I just think people don't like his tone. Like they don't really listen to what he says. Like they don't like the way he says it.
I know, and I think that's definitely true. That's definitely part of it, and that's why I call a lot of BS on that sort of stuff. When people, right? Whenever you ask someone, and I'm not the only one who brings this up. A lot of people bring this up who are Trump supporters or or at least anti Democratic Party. All you got to do is just ask them. Say, hey, what do you not like about Trump? Or I should say, what do you like about Biden? Why do you support Biden? And most of them can't give you an answer, or they'll give you some lame, terrible answer. Like usually the most common one I hear is, immigration. His immigration policies are terrible. And it's like, what do you care about immigration? What in God's earth do you care about? How many people are being led into this country, legally, or I would only care if they're just letting boatloads of people come in illegally, as of course you see now that caravan, right? Can you put up a picture of that? Put up a picture of that caravan that's supposed to be coming across the border.
What do you want me to look up?
No, just look up you've seen that, right? I'm sure you've heard about that.
I mean, the one a while ago, or is there a new one?
See, yeah. So you got to be up to date. See, no, there's always caravans, but no, look up the most recent one. By the way, I don't know what's wrong with my phone. I'm not getting any service down here. But here it is. Look at this.
From Mexico?
Yeah. I think they're passing through Mexico. Mexico presses U.S. to reform. Well, they're always going back and forth. But yeah, I mean, look at this. You can't have this. Look at that. I mean, that's insane. I mean, that's a lot of tacos right there. You know what I'm saying? like that's insane. You can't have that. I don't care. And this is the problem. I see people, especially on Facebook, people that I like, people that I love, people that I respect, posting stuff like, Trump is a monster. He locked kids in cages. How could you not you got to let these people in? It's like, no, that's not how that works. And then but yes, they're abused. See, look at that. Women and children fleeing violence. It's not political violence. You can't save everybody. You can't save the entire world. Sure, that would be great. We'd love to. And for those who say, well, it's not an excuse, you got to do all you can to help. Yes, we should be doing what we can to help. But again, when people say they don't like his America First policy, it's like you have to keep your own house in order and make sure that everything in your home is okay before you go out and try to save the rest of the world. So two things to that. One, it says, the fleeing violence. Yeah, there's violence everywhere. There's a lot of, unfortunately, we know about it, the cartels, the gangs. It's horrible what goes on in these countries, but that's not the same as political violence. There's a reason we have asylum. There's a reason we have refugees. We take them in when their government is being abusive towards them on the grounds of political violence. Like they're persecuting them because they hold a certain religious affiliation or belief or political belief, and they're being purged and locked up for that. This is completely different. There's nothing you can do about gang violence. Otherwise, well, how about all the gang violence in Chicago, right? Where are those people? Are they supposed to flee somewhere else? Should Canada let them in because there's a gang infestation in Detroit? It's like, no, and this is common sense, and people know that, but yet I get it. They want to be compassionate, but you can only be you can only be so compassionate. You have to be compassionate, and then it has its limits. You have to be logical at the same time. I've said this before. There's kindness, but then there's no such thing as extreme kindness, if that makes sense. To flesh that out a little bit more, what I'm essentially saying is extreme kindness is really just another word. It's weakness. That's all it is. Like, we're not Jesus Christ. We can't just turn the other cheek when someone hits us. Like, when someone hits you, you got to hit them back. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are conflating compassion and weakness. Okay, and it's more than just Trump saying, "Oh, we need to have a country," and you can take this off. It's depressing me, these pictures now, but you need to have law and order and a border and security, just for the simple fact, again, that's how you maintain your sovereignty. That's how you maintain your freedom and your freedom to have freedom of speech and your freedom to complain and express your sentiment, whether it be good or bad, towards your president. And so and then the other point I was going to make is Jordan Peterson, again, in his book, he talks about just that sort of point I'm making. I'm trying to see what chapter it is. Oh yeah, of course. It's a chapter where he talks about cleaning your room. People don't always understand what he says what he means when he says that, but essentially, he's just saying, here, set your house in perfect order before you criticize the world. That's a great lesson. That's what I'm saying. People need to get their own house in order before they can start trying to be, avengers and saving the rest of the world from every kind of evil. You can't. You just can't do that. That's it. First of all, unfortunately, it's impossible. Now, I'm not saying you don't make every effort. There's a million. We send so much money to other countries, right? To Haiti, to hurricane relief, aid, assistance. Look at that stimulus bill. How much money did we send to Jordan and Iran and Pakistan? Pakistan, we send what, 80 million for women gender studies or whatever. It's craziness, and now again they're just printing money like it's just a renewable resource. And again, I don't want to get into economics, but just for anybody who doesn't know, one of the reasons we can just print money, and I'm sure you know this, right, is because it's like Bitcoin basically. It's not backed by anything. We don't have a gold standard. So that's why they love.
Yeah, they're printing trust.
Say it again?
They print money because it's supposed to be trust in the economy.
Well, right. Well,
they're
one,
printing to debt. That's what it is.
Oh, well, they don't even give a crap anymore.
The deficit. It's the ever-growing deficit.
Right. Well, because when you don't have any kind of monetary standard, when you don't have anything, tangible actually backing up the money, you can just print whatever you want. So that's why they're just going crazy with it. But oh God, there was something else I wanted to talk about. It was something on. It was on a much lighter note. But back to that. Back to Trump and why I didn't vote for him. Really, in the end, I just kind of couldn't bring myself to do it as much as I loved what he stood for and what he represented. Just simply because I felt like if this makes sense, he gave the minimal amount of effort necessary to win, if that makes sense. And again, it was a few sort of just kind of key moments. Obviously, I didn't just not like, I hated some of the things he said about women, like Megyn Kelly, because again, I consider myself a man of honor in that sense. I couldn't imagine speaking to a woman like that or saying some of the things that he said. And then also the John McCain comment. But I still probably would have voted for him. But the thing that really kind of made me not be able to tick that box was then during the debates where he says, what have you been doing the past 3 days? You've been locked in your house or whatever. And she's like, well, I've been studying to be president. Do you remember that? Do you remember that quote?
Of course I remember that.
Yeah. And I was just like, God, as I really think about it, and again, this is before it wasn't nearly as bad as it is now, even 4 years ago, in terms of the craziness and the toxicity and the so on and so forth. And one of the sites I would recommend people read, I think I've mentioned it, The College Fix. thecollegefix.com is just a great site. I mean, they've got all. Yeah, I'm not saying, again, I don't want people to be depressed out there, but you should know what's going on in the world. And they tell you about just the most incredible stories that are happening on today's campuses. And it's not just about, knowing what's going on in the campuses. It's about the teachers, because that's a huge problem. A lot of these teachers, they don't feel free to teach anymore. They're being persecuted. They're the ones whose freedom of speech is being shut down, and they're in this ideological battle with their own students. I mean, it's a terrible place to be, and so that's I don't know. I don't know if that since the liberals feel like they finally got their way, are they now going to start to change a little bit and reel it in? Obviously, I don't think so. Everything's going to get 10 times worse, because there's going to be these diversity, inclusion, and training, programs, and sensitivity this and sensitivity, all over the. No, seriously. I mean, go on the College Fix again.
Well, it was already there. It was already in place.
No,
Trump
right? It was in the military he didn't. No, he didn't repeal anything.
Yes, he did. He got rid of the military.
No, he gave an executive order. But those things take time to enforce. He unfortunately wasn't really able to do anything. But here, pull up the College Fix. There was one article in particular about. They flat out just discriminate against white people. I mean, they just flat out do it. There's people. There was well, there was I think there was a professor, the teacher, who was just at the Capitol Hill riots, who was just there and had left before anything even happened, and of course they lost their job. Just for being there. But yeah, pull up the College Fix. I mean, I didn't want to be all doom and gloom today, but it just kind of
just happened.
Well, people need to know this stuff. I mean, this is the important stuff here. I mean, fun. What is it like? Look at the buzz. Look at some of this. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Funding education with property taxes is covert white supremacy, teachers taught. On day one, Biden team removes Trump's 1776 patriotic education report.
Wow.
Can you pull that up? Because I didn't even know what the 1776 patriotic report was. So as he was sworn in, a commission convened last fall by President Trump that aimed to advance what he called a patriotic education was taken on and take on leftist arguments that America was never great, released its report Monday. So basically, this 45-page report. Oh, now you can't even find it. Look at that. So now when people click on the link to read the report, there's an error. You can't find it. So the 45-page report by the 1776 Commission was billed by the White House as a definitive chronicle of the American founding, a powerful description of the effect of the principles the principles of the Declaration of Independence had on this nation's history, and a dispositive rebuttal of reckless re-education attempts that seek to reframe American history around the idea that the United States is not an exceptional country, but an evil one. So that pretty much just encapsulated everything I'm talking about. And so now they've undone this. So it listed challenges to America's founding principles as slavery, progressivism, fascism, communism, racism, identity politics, pretty much all the things that I would think we would agree on are all wrong. But no, look, they removed it. And this is why I'm saying this is not it. this is just the beginning. This is, to me, the Civil War has already begun. And this was the beginning because, like I said, Trump was sort of again, I include myself because I came around to him quickly afterwards and voted for him, of course, in 2020. But that was our last way of democratically saying, I'll say the silent majority when I say they, of saying, look, you guys are out of control on the left. You're unreasonable, and that's the problem. They can't be reasoned with. They don't want to. They don't even want to have a debate or have an argument. They just want it their way, and that's that. And they just want to completely deny all of our problems and simply say, well, simply just because you're white, you can't even have a problem, right? Me and you, we can't even have a bad day. It's impossible because of our white privilege. You know that, right?
Yep.
Like, when's the last time you had a bad day? Never, right?
No.
Yeah.
Today?
I mean, not even
today,
no.
maybe. I don't know.
Today? Oh, why? Listening to me?
You're here. No,
oh my God, cheap shot. The one thing
Just
you say,
kidding,
and it's a cheap
I'll
shot.
talk. I'm letting you go. I'm letting you go. off, bro.
Talk. What do you want to
going
say?
in. You're going in.
I can always go in. I can go off
All right.
forever.
What about the censorship going on? Because that's
That was
that
one
for
of the things
me
I was just
is the
gonna
most
mention.
concerning aspect of all of this, the censorship, that you can't even have an opposing position. I mean, I know that's one of the themes that you talk about a lot, but obviously now there was just very recent Trump. Parler was deplatformed.
Right.
Trump was banned from Twitter for life, right?
Look at that number 3 right there.
Facebook.
Harvard
And they're not even
students
trying to hide it. And
look. Harvard
Hold
students
on.
call for revocation of Senator Ted Cruz's degree from Harvard.
what scares me the most is that you have people celebrating the restriction of freedom, acting like it's a good thing. And that's always the case. People try to act like they're calling bad good and good bad. That's the issue. Liberty, we're supposed to be able to have dialogue that disagrees. They call speech violence and that it's hate speech.
Well,
This is
not
evil
even that
stuff.
speech is violence, but
That's what they
silence
believe.
is violence,
Oh, yeah.
right?
You can never win.
White silence
It's sand. It keeps
is
shifting.
white violence.
Yeah, it shifts. You have to be anti-racist. Don't you know that?
Of course, that's the big one. And it's so sad because, right, this is exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep. It's illogical.
It's illogical.
There's no logic to it.
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying, and that's what I've been screaming from rooftops. And it's like, now again, the you and I's of the world, the silent majority. That's one of the good things that has kind of come out of this is we're not being silent anymore. The problem is we're being silenced. I mean, as you've seen, again, Parler's not back, right? And
Not really, not at the way that
and
it
they're
was
not coming back.
operating.
I don't think anytime soon. And I mean, they literally deplatformed the president of the United States. And now, like I said, they want to take Harvard, the students, these asinine, woke.
You want to hear what I have to? Oh man, I don't know if you want to hear what I have to say.
No, but I just wanted to point out. Did you hear that story?
Yes, yeah.
They're trying to Kylie McEnany,
Yep.
Dan Crenshaw,
Yep.
a war hero
They're
with
taking-
one eye.
They're trying to take all of these people out.
Oh, wait, he's got one eye. He's disabled. I thought they loved the disabled people. I thought us ableists. I thought that we, with our white privilege and our 2 arms and our 2 eyes, you couldn't discriminate against us.
I
But
feel
I'm
like
sorry.
we just
go
got
on.
to start ignoring these people. That's really it. Don't give these people the time of day. Trump set it off. I would say he brought things to the surface that were already there because he challenged the narrative. Everyone just goes along with it. Whatever the media.
But he didn't just challenge it. He took a big shit on it, which is
he
what we needed.
You know what? He exposed it. It became impossible for them to deny the agenda.
Well, again, but
so
not
they just
even
doubled down on
intentionally.
everything they were doing.
Just him being him.
This is what I'm saying.
Made them,
Yes.
and they exposed themselves, and that's what I'm right, and that's my point. Is that was our way, the silent majority. Again, I keep saying our, even though I didn't vote for him, but that was our way of saying, look, you want to do this democratically? You want to do this?
I'm excited
the
to
right
see how
way?
this plays out. I don't think it's going to be
Whoa,
a clean.
wait, what? You're excited
to see how this all plays
how
out?
the
It's
next
not
4 years goes?
Yes, I am.
I don't know. Excited.
it's
Can
not-
you use a different word or explain what you mean?
Because it's not going to be this clean, sterile thing. It's going to get wild. I think it's going to get wild. People, I don't want to put this out there like that, but I do think you saw a little glimpse of it. Half the country literally voted for Trump. Forget, I believe the election, there was some interference there, but
Some interference.
some
there. What,
interference,
like
there.
aliens?
Irregularities.
Some aliens.
No, what are you
So we
talking
have worn a
about?
tinfoil hat.
Do you not believe that there
Having some
were
interference.
fraud? You don't believe in any voter fraud?
I don't even think. Well, number one, again, now it's kind of a moot point. They should still absolutely be investigating it until the day they die.
The truth of it,
Again, it's sort of using that word. I try to be as I don't want to speak to anything I don't actually know or don't have any definitive proof of. And do I certainly lean towards? Look at my nose is itchy. So, do I certainly lean towards? It was definitely rigged. I think that's the best word to use. Can any of us prove voter fraud? Certainly not on the mass scale, at least not yet, based on the evidence, if we're just being totally accurate, that they've brought to us. But look at again, connect the dots. Look at what they did right after Biden won. I mean, magically Parler, after the riots, Trump deplatformed, because they all work together. Number one, we know that. They've said that openly. Facebook,
They
Google.
called the thing at the Capitol a riot. That was not a riot. That was pretty tame compared to what Antifa, whatever you want to call them, are doing. They're burning down stuff right now. Did you see the most recent article? They're burning stuff down now. I think
of course,
Seattle.
yeah.
And they're saying that they're ungovernable, that
Dude,
nobody...
They've been rioting over there for 4 months straight.
Watch what happens when the real American people wake up. Watch what happens.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say.
It's going to happen.
We're waking up. One, it's too slow.
It's going to happen.
We've got to be faster. Because, look, we did pretty much all we could in this past election in 2016. There were rallies, right, left and right. 75 million votes. We were out there. We voted. Again, that's what I'm saying. I'm not a person that's going to say that there was definitively voter fraud, but I find it so hard to wrap my head around how someone could garner 80 million votes when you basically had nobody attending your rallies, when there was virtually no ground support. And then on top of that, you spent like 2 months in your basement hiding while this guy's out there campaigning. Plus, for an incumbent president to lose by that much, and then again, you see it after. Immediately, their power is so immense for them to be able to just shut us all down like that right after the Capitol Hill, whatever you want to call it. I hate the fact that woman died again, and she was a perfect example. She voted for Obama. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
She was a military vet. No, they didn't give a shit.
It didn't fit the narrative.
No,
Could you imagine she was not?
Well, they used her to kind of work it into their narrative. Like, oh, look at this person who was an Iraq war veteran, voted for Obama twice. It's like, well, how did she become so radicalized? It's like they called her a radical, for Christ's sake. It's like, no, this lady was just pissed off, and she was expressing her First Amendment right to be pissed off, which is, of course, what they all loved during all the Black Lives Matter riots, and they were nothing short of riots. They were nothing like protests. And of course, now, sadly, because they're white, I hate, it makes me sick to keep talking about it and to keep talking about it in terms of race and of color. But there's no other way around it. So I don't know if the thing I want to talk about is I want to talk strategy. Like, what's the strategy? What's the gameplay here? Like, outside of me running for political office. Wait, you'd vote for me, right? Just out of curiosity. Wow. All right. No, in all seriousness, and outside of that, what are the routes? Like, for people listening, or what could they do? What could you and I do? What are you know what I'm saying? Is that I'm asking you that question genuinely?
Just don't take it lying down. It's just that simple. Don't take it lying down.
Flesh it out more. What?
Yo, these. You really want to know what I?
No, not just know what you think. Me and you together, like we're almost brainstorming here out loud.
I think you're doing it. I think by holding a contrary position,
like here,
which is
podcast,
becoming
number one.
Yes, because you have currently some reach, unless they censor you.
Well, yeah, hopefully. I know I'm getting too big. I'm blowing up.
That's it. You're blowing up.
They could come at. Well, I'm afraid. Yeah, look, just for having American. Calling myself the Great American Podcast, can connotate some sort of evil, and that's one of the actually the brilliant things, as scary as it is, that they do on the left, is they do this word association thing, right?
Yeah.
Where any word, like take the word man, You take the word man, and immediately what they do is associate that with something negative. Like they'll go, "Oh, toxic masculinity." When you think of man, like that's what they should do. They should give them like like you do with like a kid or something like that. Here, like I hold up a picture of a man, or I give you a flashcard with like a word. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? And that's what they do. They have this such as pessimistic, negative worldview. And again, I'm talking in generalization. No, but that's the bullshit. They don't really hate men. Because I know these woke liberal girls. I know them. They don't really hate men. They've just convinced themselves over time that we're doing something wrong. Like there's like the masculinity that they've associated with the word man or men has warped their way of thinking. Because of course, do you really think they really hate men? No, maybe like the feminazi type people.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, no, but okay, but I'm talking about even there's a large segment of the just particularly liberal female population think along those same lines because they've been convinced by those feminazi people. Take the word, obviously take Trump. What's the first word they associate him with? Hitler or
Nazi,
somebody.
they call him Hitler.
Right, exactly. If you go white, they go, supremacy.
Yep.
If you go owner, right? Owner is a perfect example of a word. They want to do away with that.
You know what it is? I really do believe it's a small group of people with the big megaphone of the media promoting
I hate
everybody.
When people say that. No.
It's the truth.
No, it's not
it's
a small
the truth.
group of people.
You don't believe
it's
that?
Not a,
yes, it is.
Who
do you think owns all the networks? It's 5 networks. They produce all of the news content for the country. So how can you not say that it's 5 people? It's literally, go look it up. Disney's buying everything. It's the concentration of power. So if they have their network to literally broadcast, it's very limited. So you're getting one message. They wield a ton of power in that way.
No, but when you're saying
people are naturally not educated, so they're gonna look at the news and believe the headline. People don't realize, they're like, oh, you know what? Maybe I have to investigate this further.
Unfortunately, that's very true.
And they rely on that.
And people are always going to be that way. I think that's just kind of
there are
inherent to a large segment of our population.
It's ignorant to believe there aren't people actively seeking power. They want power. I don't want that.
I think that's something actually we all agree on.
I mean, I don't desire power. It's not something that I'm interested in.
I don't know, man.
You're
pretty high and mighty.
What does that mean? I don't
know.
understand.
You're pretty haughty. You walk with your chest out. You know what I'm saying?
Shoulders back. I read page 1.
You read page 1. You read the title.
No, I didn't read it. You said at the beginning of the episode.
No,
so
I'm kidding.
I started.
I know
doing
you don't read. I know you don't know how to, but it's okay. But no. But look, wait, just flesh that out for me a little bit more. Like you said, a small group of people with a large megaphone.
So
but
you don't.
Then you said that. No, I'm not arguing with you. I'm asking.
How many news
debate,
networks?
right?
I mean, you could chalk it up to like 3.
No.
MSNBC, CNN, Fox News. So
Right,
that's where people get their information in the news.
Okay,
So just
fair.
take those 3 right there
Okay.
that have the biggest reach
Okay.
and have their ideology. So people are in control of that. You don't think that there's writers that write that content. You think, I'm sure maybe some of them, the news anchors might come up and ad-lib some stuff, but I doubt it. They turn off that teleprompter and see what happens. They're literally actors. These people are actors.
Well, again, number one, I would separate Fox News out, though.
No, they're trash now too.
Oh, I hate what there's this new Republican thing now where you guys are all
because you haven't been keeping up with them. Then they're trash now.
Oh my God, I haven't been keeping up with them. No, of course not. Look, first of all,
I don't want to get you too.
No. I separate. First of all, I separate the shows and the people on those shows. Like I separate Tucker Carlson from the rest of Fox News. Or I separate, people on the 5 from the rest of Fox News. Now, I know this is getting probably boring to some other people, but look, no, I understand what you're saying, but I'm not going to call Tucker Carlson an actor, and I don't think you mean necessarily him either, or maybe you do. I don't know.
Everybody, but
no, but look, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I just don't think it's,
dude.
If you want to talk about the media. That's a small group with a lot of power.
Yes, but they're the ones that have all the power.
Right. But it's not a small group of people that hold these views. That's my point.
I wasn't saying that.
Okay. That's all I wanted to clarify.
It's a small group of people influencing a group of people with their ideology. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's the big tech problem.
Yes,
that's the whole big tech problem.
Censoring it with algorithms and word policing.
And it's not even just algorithms. I feel like they're freaking literally going on there being like, dude, Rob Boyle,
fact checking. It's the big joke. Who fact checks the fact checkers? What's my recourse, to fact check their information.
Well, that's the thing. Somehow
It's always
they've
down to
even
truth. It's
turned
always about
fact
truth.
checking into something subjective. That's the thing. They've made
Fact-checking
everything
is white
subjective.
supremacy.
It is.
Facts are white.
It is. They've made everything subjective, and that's why they're so
Yeah,
unreasonable.
they don't
And that's-
believe in objective reality.
No,
That's the
and
problem.
that's the postmodern
Yes,
philosophy. And again,
exactly.
this is like the Jordan
Big word.
Peterson
You know.
episode.
You know. Look
Oh,
at you.
stop! I know far more
Wow.
than you.
It's a big word.
Postmodernism.
Postmodern. I like
no.
that.
Well, one of the things Jordan Peterson calls them, and it's
Start calling him JP. You guys are on that.
JP.
You're on that level now.
Well, once I start doing
Oh no! Don't let him hear that.
I know. Bucko.
He'll never be on your show if you do that.
No, well, I'm gonna get his long lost brother on the show, but no, once I'm gonna perfect that impersonation, and we'll have to do that. But no, one of the things he calls them is a postmodern neo-Marxist, and those two things in and of themselves are contradictory, but it makes perfect sense because the postmodern philosophy is just that. It's where everything is subjective. Everything's a social construct. There's no such thing. There's reality.
Yeah, they don't believe in
But-
men and women. I mean, whatever.
Well, yeah, the whole
I can
idea
go on
is
and on.
no, you
people
can.
don't
We
wanna
could
hear
both
this.
going on.
Not from me.
Don't
Don't want to hear from you.
No,
Don't wanna hear from you.
no. I've been talking for an hour. You know me. I could go on.
Yeah.
But God, is there anything positive going on? Any positive news stories? Did we end world hunger yet?
How about you watch football?
And now scoop. Oh no, we can talk about the fight. The fight this weekend.
Let's go.
Conor McGregor. Do you watch UFC? Do you
I
watch
used
the
to.
fight?
I'm so over
I
that.
used to.
I'm
What are you
a
gonna tell me?
boring person to talk to sometimes.
I
You
know.
should just
Trust
take
me.
off
People
the
tell
show.
me. Some
I'm
people tell
boring.
me that they're like,
I'm
dude, this
boring.
guy's boring as
I
shit.
know.
But
I'm just not interested in that. You know?
well, if I had more time to prepare, I could have, could have had
Exactly.
people come
I'm
on
your-
and converse and so on and so. Well,
I'm
we're
your
gonna have a big.
D-list.
We're gonna
I'm
have
on
a
the D-list.
No, we're gonna have a big show Saturday. We're gonna have a comedian coming on in, a guy by the name of Evan Weiss, and then also we're gonna have a special guest, a friend of mine, call in too. And no, Saturday's gonna be a good show. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to come in here and wanted to shoot the shit a bit. I mean, again, look, I could go on for another hour, you know me, but yeah, look, I just to give some positivity and to anybody listening to maybe for the next 4 years or 2 years, you know, there's
Next
going to
4
be
years.
another election. Well, look, what can we do? Not just we were talking about fighting the system a lot, but what can we do to help it, to help America, to help everybody, of course, because again, when we help each other, we help ourselves. And I'm certainly no angel. I'm no priest. I'm the last person that should be giving advice. But I think I don't want to think about the next 4 years in like a stupid, kind of silly, naive, optimistic way. Like, oh, everything's going to be great, and I hope it's it's going to get better, and just will it, and don't no. But I also don't want to be the activist. That's the problem today. Are the activists, those people who turn everything into a political display, and they do all this moral posturing, and they think they got to take to the streets and yell and scream with a bullhorn about everything, and like no, that's the problem. The problem are extremes, and we've never been an extremist country. We've always had a hint of anarchy, oddly enough. I mean, you could, that's why I kind of hate when people make those kind of sort of grandiose or claims like, oh, this is the most divided we've ever been since the Civil War. Or, this is like Watergate. It's like, no. Yeah, you're right. Or God forbid, of course, when they've compared Trump to
People
Hitler.
are so sensitive.
And killing, the 6 million Jews and leading to the death of, roughly 80 million people. It's like, no, that's there's about as much overlap between Trump and Hitler, as there is, myself and a tree. Like, yeah, we're both living things. That's about it. So I would just preach the message of instead of just trying to fight against Biden, fight against the system, try to find a way to just look at it in the sense of how can you make things better What kind of, altruistic, benevolent things can you do? And think of it in terms of fighting for something, fighting for your country instead of fighting against your president. And again, I think we all know this, at least to an extent, but it's been lost because these messages aren't being preached. And that's why, that's how you get the Jordan Petersons of the world, or the Ben Shapiros, or the me's of the world. I mean, there's a reason why I started kind of doing this. I kind of wanted to do it for fun. But I also wanted to speak, because I'm not an erudite. I'm not, I'm not a scholar. I'm not someone who has any kind of credibility or the prerequisites. I don't have master's degrees or so on and so forth. But I do think that I see the world through a little bit of a different lens, and one that very few people, I think, share, or at least are willing to express. Without me tooting my own horn here, I just think we should look at it as fighting for our country. Take it down a notch with the activism, and remember, one of the things I'm trying to do, and I think it's a good thing for people in general, are quotes. I don't know if you do that. If you try to look, you're a biblical guy.
Yeah, the best quotes of all time.
Well, quotes are, that's a heck of a statement.
It's the truth.
They are the best quotes of all time. They've been around for a couple thousand.
They're the best of all time.
No, you're right. And there's some great quotes, of course. But in general, I think that's something. If there's one thing I could leave people with, it's read poems, read quotes.
I got one for you.
Look, all right, yeah. What do you got?
This is the verse of the day on the Bible app. I want you to analyze this. It says, "Dear children, let us not love with words."
Slow down.
Dear children, let us not love with words or speech, but with actions and in truth.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good quote.
That's a great quote right there. That's one of the things I try to preach all the time. I mean, well, what's your interpretation? I'd like to hear that real quick.
Of the quote that I just read?
Yeah, without Googling interpretation.
No. Well, it said, let us love not with words or speech, but with actions. So It de-emphasizes speech and people who say they're going to do something, and it's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk. So actually love each other. Don't just talk about love. And I think that's the big problem. People want to define what love is, and everyone has a different definition. So these people are always like, love is love. And I'm not even talking from like any sexual point of view. It has nothing to do with that. But people want to redefine what love is and what hate is. If you don't have the freedom to speak and you can equate that with hatred, then you have a bad definition. You're wrong. So it's about walking the walk. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, no,
love in your actions. And the problem is people differ on what they consider loving. It's really that simple.
Read it again one more time, if you could.
Yeah. Dear children,
right.
Let us not love with words or speech, but with actions and in truth. So, yeah. Actions and truth.
Yeah, and I think also just to add to that, I think the obvious one, and it's a quote that's certainly popular nowadays, is actions speak louder than words.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Yeah, no, well, I don't know if
probably
it's
comes
the
from
same
the
thing,
Bible. Yes, it does. Actions speak louder than words.
No, right, and I think it certainly ties into that, and obviously, dear children is not just doesn't mean the literal sense, kids, but yeah, I think this is one of the things I at least try to live by, and again, I fail at it all the time. I mean, I fail constantly at trying to live up to the standards I set for myself and to live up to the words that I preach even on here. But I think it's absolutely true that actions do speak louder than words. But I won't. The caveat to that is I won't say that your actions necessarily do always define who you are at the same time, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're not perfect people.
Right, exactly. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to screw up. Like one of the things I can't stand, and another thing when people say like, oh, well, when a person drinks, when they're drunk, that's who they really are. That's when they reveal.
It's the opposite.
Exactly.
Because they're intoxicated.
Exactly.
How often are they drunk unless they're drinking often?
And I could do a whole show
that's
on
good.
that.
I like that.
On how there's just been this inverting of all these common sayings.
Yep.
And what's happened again, it all ties in over the past 20, 30 years, this culture of trying to reinterpret everything from like the simplistic literal meaning that it had and what it meant, and twisting it, into that like a simple thing like that. Actions.
Well, it's like academia, like it's
that's
their
the
god,
problem.
and it's these, whatever. We know all about this.
No, and
the college campuses, it's all connected to that. They're militarizing people. That's what they do.
I go back to that's a perfect word. That's why I was saying activism.
Yes, activism
we need
is
to
the
get
word.
back to that middle ground there between the two, between just putting your head in the sand and hoping and praying, with this naive, optimism. Oh, well, it's all going to be fine. I don't need to worry about
that's
it.
not true. I think it's going to get worse. I'm sorry. It's
Oh,
going to
no,
get worse.
I agree
all
with
of
you
it's gonna
there.
get worse.
I agree with you there. But that's why, I guess as we as we do more of these podcasts, hopefully, and so on and so forth, one of the responsibilities I feel like I should take onto myself is coming up with more strategies, coming up with more ideas on not just for how us as conservatives or Republicans or again, and I hate that I have to keep referring to myself as a white person. I hate the fact that I feel like they've made me do that. Do you know what I mean? I feel like, well, no, again, they've backed us into a corner, and that's one of the things I'm saying. It's one of the reasons I'm kind of on this podcast is yes, for fun, but also I feel like I have this. They forced me to care.
Identity politics.
More. Well, that's what. But just to have to lend my opinion. There's already too many people, too many podcasts, too many voices being heard. And like I said earlier too. I don't, don't just try to strive or label yourself as like a white man or I'm a straight white male. No, just be a man, or even the highest of all that, a person. Just try to be a person and just try to be a good
Human
person.
being.
Yeah, and not in like one of those woke, we are the world, tree hugging type, ways. Just being a good person. If you're a man, just try to be a man, which means being a good father or a good brother. Good at your job, all those things.
Yeah, well, it comes down to worldview. It comes down to worldview.
Right.
Because people they're trying to redefine what is good. It really comes down to that. Historically, traditionally, the man was the breadwinner. The man was self-sacrificial, would work, and they hate these values. Why do you think they're like, and listen, I'm all for women working. If you want to work, cool. But women are pretty. No,
I don't think they should work.
You don't think so?
No.
They should be home.
They shouldn't be allowed.
They should have the choice.
They shouldn't even be allowed in the kitchen anymore. They're so bad at cooking.
Wow.
I feel like. No, but that's again.
Uber Eats will deliver you McDonald's.
We could have these
That's
same
the world we live in.
discussions all the day long. Yes, we're all for equality of opportunity, but it's that other thing, that word equity, that equality of outcome. That's what's so evil. That's malicious unto itself. Because first of all, it's just an impossible thing to create or to regulate. And also, it ends up leading to a more unstable society. I could quote Jordan Peterson all day long.
You want to know
this
something?
is what he talks about.
No, it's too controversial. I can't say
No,
these
go on,
things.
go on.
No, I can't.
Well, what are you worried about?
Have things
No one
gotten
even sees
better?
your
Listen to
face,
this.
bro.
Listen to this. Listen to this.
I'm the one that's screwed.
I'm gonna play a thought game with you, right? I don't necessarily hold this position, but
not
it's
gonna
just
be
a
a
thought
dirty
game.
game, is
No, not a dirty game, but they're pushing for
Sorry, I don't
women.
like dirty games.
Listen, they're pushing for women to take more prominent roles.
Mm-hmm.
Have things gotten better? Real question. In society, are we, doing better lately or worse?
Is your wife listening to this?
I love my wife. My wife is
I
amazing.
love my wife. She's a great
But
lady.
I'm just saying, like in positions of
Your wife's too
leadership and
controversial. Never
power.
mind.
Look at
Never
is it?
No.
That's why I don't want to go there.
No, I'm happy
I
you
love
went
women.
there.
Women are great.
Oh
but,
God, yeah, they sound like Trump. I love women.
I love women.
Well, that's one of the things he does. And no, but
It's true.
Everything actually, I just want to talk about real quick the way you asked it, everything you just asked, the way you prefaced your question with, "Oh God, I don't want to do it. It's too controversial." Then you asked the question, and then you said, "Oh, I love women." That was kind of emblematic of everything I hate about this world that we live in.
You have to justify yourself.
First, you got to preface it. You got with the
you can't just
pre-apology.
speak. You're right.
Then you got to ask the question. You got to ask it in a way that's not,
you're
as
right.
hardly offensive as possible.
Self-censorship.
And then that's exactly what it is. And that's something I don't do or I try to fight
conditioned,
against. No, right. And you probably didn't even realize you were kind of you knew.
No,
you were
I knew
doing
what
it,
I'm
but-
doing. I
no,
know what
but
I'm
I
doing.
know. But you know what I'm saying. And so that's one of the things I'm trying to push against. That's one of these. It seems. like you hardly even notice it, but it's so
right.
actually
You know what
pernicious.
though? But people are so sensitive and will react that way. So
No,
it's
but
like a
screw them.
toddler.
You gotta just
it's like a
screw their
child. Just listen.
sensitivity.
It's like a child. You're trying to placate them to
tell
not
me
let them
just-
get not have them act up. It's like having a bad girlfriend. You're like, oh, I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean it like that. I'm sorry. And then you you have to watch your words. And then before you know it, you're censoring yourself so they don't blow up on you. So that's it. Like the man likes to sit there and silently take it to avoid problems a lot of the time.
Well, that's not
That's
a real
it.
man then. It's a beta male.
I'm not saying. Yeah, I agree with you. But
No,
is
and-
that not most people though?
And that's
Rob, is that not most people?
That's exactly what I've been talking about. Have I not? Especially Trump supporters.
This is right in your
They're-
wheelhouse.
Right. Well, no, you don't need to set me up, man. You don't need to. I'm here all day long. This
I
is
know.
what I do.
I know.
But how much more time we got?
Yeah, you're done.
Oh shit! It's like that. Well,
I
let
let
me-
you go
Let me
longer.
just finish it up with
Finish it up.
what you asked. So yeah, one, I just wanted to point that out because it's in and of the way you're asking the question itself and the way you've got to preface it with all these like trigger warnings. That's self censorship. But then to the heart of your question, to end on this note, essentially your question was: has the world gotten better as we've mixed women into the workplace and into all the same areas? And it's yes and no. I mean,
People are pretty
and
unhappy.
to give a definitive answer, because I guess there's different ways to measure it. So yes and no is what I mean by that. But because the simplest way to answer that, and I think that with in the most honest way, is look, we've had incredible advancement, right, over the past several decades, going back to the 50s after World War II, when women were really put into the workforce. And so we've created more technological advancements and so on than we ever have, right? But yes, I know what you're getting at. At the same time, we are more unhappy than ever. And there's a lot of reasons for this. I can't lay it solely at the feet of women. But will I blame them for certainly the lack of if you want to call it manliness in the world?
Yeah.
They're the ones who have created these terms like toxic masculinity.
Yeah, bro.
They're the ones who have not just feminized a lot of things, but created these campuses, cultures on campus and in the workplaces that have become
Sensitivity.
toxic. Right.
Sensitivity.
Right. And
what
again,
happened to just working? Why can't you just go to work? Why do you have to be so afraid?
This is why I say listen to my podcast and listen to Jordan Peterson. We're simpatico on all these things. He's the scholar, so you can get a much more articulate, real, definitive answer from him. But if you want, I can present the same sort of philosophical view that he presents.
And people have lost their sense of humor. There's not. What's funny? Tell me what's funny lately. What's funny?
Well, again, this is like a whole nother hour of stuff, but you're right.
Maybe you'll answer that
people
next time.
Yeah, I can. Well, actually, that's a good one to talk about. Have we lost our?
We're
sense of
having a
humor?
comedian Saturday, so why don't we talk to
There
talk
you
to
go.
him
That'd be
about
perfect.
that.
But just to end on that note, no, I don't think we've lost it, but I think it ties into, like, especially when you're in a live audience or crowd. If someone's watching a comedy special at home, I'm sure they're dying of laughter at the most offensive things. But when they're in an audience and there's other people, then they're afraid to have a natural reaction, especially if something's considered offensive. So
Yep.
I guess on that note, we're out of time, or I'm out of time. And so I appreciate anyone who was listening. And please, again, subscribe if you can. And, if you want to, remember, call in next time Saturday. Going to have a good guest on at what, 2:30, 3? What time am I coming in? About 3 o'clock, I think. So please join us then. All right? Take care.